Beverly Glenn-Copeland and Elizabeth Copeland are creative collaborators. They are also married, and the two of them together is just about the most precious thing you have ever seen in your life. Intimate, deep love that I almost can't believe we get to witness in this video. They have a new album called Laughter in Summer. Here you go. Let's start here. Elizabeth, your first encounter with Glenn was in 1976.
Yes.
A restaurant in Toronto. You're 19 years old. Can you tell me about that day and what stood out to you about Glenn?
Oh, my gracious. I was out for a walk with my best friend, Mary-in-law. We had grown up together. She's still my lifelong friend. Our mothers were pregnant at the same time. And anyway, we were out for a Sunday walk. We decided to go into the Groaning Board restaurant on Jarvis Street. And there was this being sitting up on the stage wearing a black tracksuit and Birkenstocks and singing and playing at an upright piano without the remotest interest in the audience. That's the thing that we remember the most. There was no, hey, everybody, how's your dinner? I'm Beverly Glenn-Copeland. Like, it took me years to identify who that was up there. But then when I heard the voice again, then I knew. But that was the first time.
Phenomenal. And you became friends. You kept in a little bit of touch. 40 years go by.
We didn't become friends. Someone gave me a copy of a CD with Glenn's music on it when I was pregnant with my daughter, Faith. So she was kind of gestated with this Beverly Glenn-Copeland music. And then we met in 1992 through just shared community, musicians, spiritual people. And we established a friendship that was very deep right away. And we also did work together. We'd invite each other to do shows that the other had produced.
And then in 2007, this is when things really take off. And I understand that there was a little bit of magic involved. Glenn's raising his eyebrows. What happened? Either of you can go ahead and answer.
Do you agree it was magic?
Definitely, dear heart.
Magic. And we think that Glenn's mom, Georgie, had a hand in it.
Probably.
So in early 2007, so I was a freelance artist, and it had just so happened that I had these 3 major contracts, which kind of allowed me to support my daughter, and they all ended within a 3-month period, and I was looking down the nose of bankruptcy. So one night I went over to visit our mutual friend, Maggie Hollis, and Maggie said, you need to go home and chant and pray and just tell the universe what you need. And so I went home that night, and I stood out under the night sky, and I said, I have done everything you've asked of me. I have given all that I have to give. You will not leave me homeless. I need a job. I'd never had a job before. I need a job. I need to make some good money. And while I'm at it, I want my mate. So I fell asleep that night, and I dreamt of Glenn. We hadn't been in touch in years. It was very cinematic. He was standing on the top of a hill, backlit by a full moon. And I woke up the next morning and I called Maggie and I said, oh my God, I just had this dream about Glenn. What's he doing? And she said, oh, he's just in the process of getting a divorce and you would be great for him. So then it began for me. But for Glenn, it was a different story. So then I was going to Maggie and Maggie's wedding to kind of get Glenn. He didn't know it. And do you want to tell the story of Maggie's, what happened that day?
Oh, dear. I'd never looked at Elizabeth in any way that had anything to do with becoming a couple. Never, ever. So Elizabeth decides to wear these clothes. And I don't look at any woman based on clothes. That's just not, I don't care how gorgeous a person is. That's not who I am. But for some reason, she wore these clothes, and she came down this really narrow alleyway into the back, and in the back was this beautiful sort of lawn, and kind of lovely and wide, right? And what happened was she came down with such a stride, do, right? And I went like sideways I went literally out of half of my chair with my mouth open going, what? It was amazing. Lord have mercy.
And he came in, and I remember, I thought I was the soul of discretion. But a friend of mine called me the next day and said, what was up with you and Glenn? It's like, wasn't I discreet? I just kept sort of flitting around and flitting by him. And then he left that night, and I'm not very patient. I thought, I should just wait for him to call me. But a few days later, it's like, oh, I have no more patience. So I called him. He was back up at his house in Muskoka. And I just said, it's so nice to see you. I had a dream. And I told him about the dream and the dream that we were together. And it was morning, and he was eating his oatmeal. And I literally heard the spoon hit the floor.
In shock.
So the spoon hits the floor. There's something here. You were blown away by her as a vision at this wedding. And I know it's a big time period to jump, but she's been your partner for a long time now. Glenn, what are a couple of your favorite things about Elizabeth?
Well, do you don't want to hear the rest of the story?
Oh, I do. I do. Okay, please.
There's more to the story.
Go on.
Okay, so, so she said, that she wanted to, let's get together or something, right? And that's when the spoon hit the floor. And then I kind of decided, I thought, no, I don't think so. No. And then I went and I chanted about it, right?
Oh, and you said, you were mumble. You said, maybe we'll go dancing. I'll come to Toronto. We'll go dancing sometime. And then you hung up, and it's like, oh, okay, well, there.
So much for that, right? But then I went and chanted, and it's like I chanted this scroll, and it doesn't have a character. It doesn't have a face or anything. It's just characters, all of which say that each person in front of it has. Is a wonderful being, right? It's
a bodhisattva.
Is a bodhisattva. It's it's an incredible scroll. Anyway, so I'm chanting in front of the scroll, and it was like a hand came out and went smack, smack, smack. This woman has offered you something wonderful, and you really, really like her a whole lot. You've known her for many years, and now you had that reaction when at that party. So I went, oops. So I live, my first love was always dance, and my second love has always been, and that's still true. My second love is actually beautiful paintings, right? But so my house had only one chair, because the rest of it was...
He's a minimalist.
I'm a minimalist, and the rest of it was a museum for beautiful paintings or something, right? Yeah. So I thought, eat. I'm going to invite her up, but there's no place to sit. So I had to go out and buy another rocking chair so she'd have some place to visit me.
So he invites me up to Muskoka. Right. I was teaching a class out in Eastern Ontario. I jumped in the car. I drove home to Toronto to make sure there was care for my daughter and repacked my bag, drove up through rush hour, arrived there at 10 o'clock at night, and there was a blackout. And Glenn was nervous, so he took me for an entire tour of his massive house, minimalist house, in the dark. I couldn't see anything. It's like, oh, well, that's nice. I can't see it, but thanks for the tour. Right. And then we ended up spending the next day. We spent a day out on the lake on a kayak, and neither of us spoke. And that's when we really knew. Because many people, when you take them out into the natural world, did you see what she said? Oh my God, do you believe that's like? We just listened to the loons and we listened to the quiet. And then, kind of by the next day, we knew. Yeah. And
that we were a match.
Yeah, and it went from there.
And the rest is history. I'm so glad you told the rest of that story, first of all. Thank you. I'm grateful. The sitting out in nature and looking at the loons really is connected to the album that you've just made together now called Laughter in Summer.
Yes.
It's been described as a love letter to one another. So, Elizabeth, what did you want to say to Glenn with this album?
My heart is forever yours. We've made a commitment that next lifetime we want to meet in the sandbox. So we don't want to, and we want, because we realized we would have had a big family together, and we met when we were younger. The depth of our grief for what is happening right now is because of the depth of our love. And I love that you are determined to be with both of those extremes, I guess, in a way, of heart and mind, and I'm honored to walk you home. Though the truth is, who knows who's going to walk who home in the end, right? We never know. So, I just love you.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same.
Okay, now say some things about what you love about me.
What I love about you? Oh, there's so many things. I love the fact that Elizabeth is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, she's also gorgeous. But there can be gorgeousness and not necessarily brilliance.
That's true.
Right? So Elizabeth is gorgeous and brilliant, right? And she can keep so many things going on in her head and envision so many things simultaneously. So we have this little playful thing, right? Which is that she is like a balloon, and she's very quick. She's quick, and I'm a tortoise. I'm just as slow as molasses, going uphill in the summertime or the winter. Anyway,
That's thick molasses.
yeah. So we have this. We're connected to each other by this this sort of chain or whatever you want to call it, string or whatever. And she's up in the air, and she has she has like antenna everywhere, and she's picking up all the things that are going on in the universe and all the things that are going on in everything that's going on. It's like, but she gets it all, right? And she's tethered to me. So what I say to her is, "What's going on, honey? Tell me what's happening." And she says to me, "A lot, but don't let go." Hold on to me, because otherwise I'll float away. Right? Oh. So it's like we're a perfect combination that way, right? And there's no, I just, your brilliance absolutely stuns me still, darling. Every day I'm going, you can remember all that, right?
We're talking a little bit about caretaking, and if it's okay with you, I'd like to talk a bit about what's going on for you health-wise now,
absolutely.
Glenn. Yeah, so you were diagnosed a couple years ago with a
major cognitive dysfunction.
Disorder.
Disorder or dysfunction, either one.
Right, and it's called LATE or LATE or however we say it. So at that time, first of all, how are you doing now? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling as though, bit by bit, I'm losing my grip on what is told to me. I can't remember a lot of things that are told to me. Mm-hmm. I have to put them down. Sometimes I forget to put them down, right? So, I have a memory of things that are older, but not the recent things, right?
I see, yeah.
Yeah, that's what life handed me, right? So I'm not fighting it, right? I don't have this like, oh, poor me, how could they be doing this to me? You're going to die of something.
Right.
But we're not here forever.
Mm-hmm.
Part that's difficult is the fact that Elizabeth doesn't have what she needs, which is to be able to rest, because I need a full-time person to.
Sure.
And I know that, one of the reasons we appreciate you bringing this up is that every time we talk about it, I often get lots of notes from other caretakers, because not many people talk about what it means to caretake.
Yeah.
The exhaustion, the caretaker I have burnout brain, and I'm a writer, and sometimes my command of nouns Glenn and I stand in the kitchen, and because he has a cognitive disorder and because I'm burned out, we're doing charades to that over there, that thing. That sort of falling apart of community that we've seen an incredible acceleration in since the pandemic. But certainly before that, it takes a village that old African proverb, it's not just to raise a child. It takes a village if someone is sick. It takes a village if someone is troubled. It just takes a village for all humankind is the truth. So in talking about this, we're talking about our situation, but also more than our situation. Because the people that come and take the step away from just talking about Glenn as their elder on social media, but show up at our house with a casserole, or we had a group of young people that came yesterday to keep us company. They all leave and they tell me, I feel so fed. I thought I was going to come here and this was going to be like hard work and really draining, but I feel fed. Because we both have so much yet to give. And Glenn, it's an interesting contrast. As parts of his executive functioning go, and he can't drive a car anymore or do our taxes or sometimes even remember a 3-step process, his essential self is more present than ever. Now, is that 50 plus years of Buddhist practice? I think that's an influencing factor, but I am sometimes just, he's more, you are more. As something is less, there is also more. And I think that's the joy for us in talking about this, because we've met a lot of couples where one partner is burned out and one partner is so tired of being unable to figure out what comes next. And we just, when we realized that this was happening, it's like, where is the life here? And how does our relationship continue? And how do we continue? Like the reason we went back on tour after what was supposed to be our final tour is we were sitting on the couch doing all the right things. Glenn was doing his word puzzles, and we had a routine. And at one point, Glenn looked over at me and said, maybe this is supposed to extend my life, but I just don't feel like we're living. I have places to go. I have people to see. I have things I want to say still.
Yeah.
I just don't want to sit around and see the same 5 people. So we have to... we juggle it, but it's like anything in life. It comes with risks, but and we wanted to be able to have a sense of humor.
Oh, we have a sense of humor
about it.
We even wrote a song about it.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
You came up with a little
ditty.
Should we do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rescue me from my MCD. Rescue me from my NCD. Rescue me from my what?
What am I rescuing you from? What are we? What was that? What was that? What?
I can't
I don't
remember.
I don't remember what we're supposed to be
Being
talking
rescued.
about.
What is this?
Oh, Greg, jeez.
And we do that for audiences. And when we do it for audiences, we know that then they relax about it. Right?
Because sometimes people are scared, right?
Yeah.
First of all, the term dementia, that's why we call it an MCD, because dementia, like the root of that word.
It doesn't sound
And there are
good.
over 200 different kinds
Yeah.
of cognitive impairments.
Yeah.
So let's get that word out of it. So that's why we like our little MCD
Oh my goodness.
song.
It's so funny. It says so much about how you are approaching life and you're navigating this. Glenn was told to stay home and do crosswords, right? But then what did he turn and say to you, Elizabeth, about getting back out and making music?
Just, I don't feel like we have a life.
Yeah, you got to do it. I would love to listen to the title song of your album now and
Yes.
talk a little bit about it. Is that okay?
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Here's Laughter in Summer.
Laughter in summer, how I remember June through September, here with you. Glistening water.
That's a little bit of Laughter in Summer. The whole album, your shoulders go down. It's so peaceful. I understand that song when you first wrote it, Glenn, didn't have any words to it. It was instrumental. What was the original idea that you had?
I've been writing so many things with words for such a long time. Just one day I just thought, what if I wrote stuff that other people could decide what it means? So I wrote that, and Elizabeth said, I would like to be the first person. And she wrote these beautiful words to it. I was absolutely stunned.
Yeah.
I was literally stunned by how beautiful it was. And it was also very sad. I mean, you were expressing something that, that you were losing, which was parts of me.
And I was starting to make my peace with it. That's like the first year after the diagnosis, Glenn and I both fought it in our individual ways. And both of us had sort of come to it like fighting this is not going to help. In fact, it's going to make it worse. And I just thought of all the times you and I have spent in the summer on lakes, listening to the loons, listening to the wind rustling through the trees.
I know, sweetheart. It's true.
So
both of us love the natural world.
Yeah.
And we would live there, and did for many years as many years as we could. But there's come a time now where what I require is not something out in the woods. So
we could have something out in the woods with a small medical center just down the lane.
That would be, if anybody who's listening has one of
you have
those
a small medical
places,
center down the lane, it would
please.
go
But where Glenn and I could walk out and listen to water run or the trees rustle.
But isn't that what care in an ideal world should look like? Like to
Yes.
be in nature, because that's what you're returning to in
Yes,
a way?
that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Most of the music was recorded in one single take, which I think is a big part of the creative process. Glenn, can you tell me what you like about a single take recording?
There's a famous guy who said, he's a classical musician. He says, I can play the notes or I can play the music. Right?
And if I play the music, there will be mistakes.
There will be mistakes or whatever, but it's like I'm playing the music.
Yeah.
And what you want to hear, you came to hear the music, not the notes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's when I do my first take, I'm playing the music. I'm singing the music. If I start doing it over and over again after that, it becomes about the notes, right? So I'm not interested in that.
There's a song on the album called Children's Anthem that really moved me. First of all, Elizabeth, can you tell me about the original intention of Children's Anthem?
There was a big push on bullying. There was a lot of, so we were followers of the work of Barbara Coloroso. So somehow we ended up in touch with her, and she invited us to be at a conference she was leading. And we came up with a workshop to educate people. And then I said, Glenn, it'd be great if we could have just a simple song. And Glenn is a tortoise with everything except writing music. In our theater school, I could say, honey, I need this kind of song, and it needs to have a 12-bar dance break, and I need it by tomorrow in the key of B flat. And he could go and do it. So he wrote Children's Anthem very quickly. And it just speaks to the shared commitment we have for just being with, working with, honoring children who are going to inherit a very difficult world. So we need to support them. And we dedicated it to our granddaughter, Freya.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
Glenn, why is it so important to you to do creative work for children?
They need to be able to experience things at a very young age. Let's say I want to teach a young kid to play the piano, right? I don't start out with scales. I start off with bang, bang, bang on the keyboard. Bang, bang, bang. Right? And the kid relaxes right away, right? The kid is like, if it's interested in playing piano,
Yes.
kid relaxes. And then if it's right for that child, then they will continue to want a little bit more than bang, 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 right? And Elizabeth is exactly the same with the things that she does with young people. She looks and sees what do they naturally do, So if we're going to make a children's show, a play or something, she wants them to. She doesn't say you need to do this role and you need to do this role. She looks and sees how they're playing, right? in whatever they're doing. And then she said something wonderful. She says, now we're going to start just exploring with things at this hour, and you have 3 minutes to come in and do whatever you want. So they would come in and yell their heads off for 3 whole minutes, right? And they loved it. It would like get all of their stuff out, right?
Yeah.
And then they'd be ready.
Because kids need to scream.
They do, absolutely.
And it also meant they got there on time because they told their parents, no, don't get your Tim Hortons now. We have to be there, right? Because 10 o'clock we get to be in the studio and scream.
Tell me screaming time. Yeah.
We had to leave because it would.
Yeah.
But also because we believe that kids don't get to play much anymore.
right.
Everything is scheduled. And that's where we learn to make decisions with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how we learn to deal with, difficult feelings in ourselves. Glenn is just brilliant with especially the little ones, 4, 5, 6, 7. They just gravitate to him like the moon and start playing with his hair and.
Oh, yeah. I can't tell you how many times I had to sit still while they went.
Some of these kids had never, out in the East Coast, they'd never seen black hair.
Right.
So they were like, oh.
And then they'd pull out and twirl stuff around.
Oh my goodness.
I just let them do it.
It's curiosity.
Yeah,
like
it's curiosity,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing if you were African and never had seen Caucasian hair. I'm sure you would be going, what is that? Right?
Sure.
Right, So, we all have to be introduced to each other.
Yeah.
Right,
While we're talking about kids,
Yeah.
can we go back when you were a little kid,
Yeah.
Glenn?
Yeah.
You had this famous moment where you said to your mom, "I'm a boy."
Oh, yeah. I was a very little kid. I was 2 or 3 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then it took until the 1990s when you're reading this book, Stone Butch Blues, this autobiography of the trans activist Leslie Feinberg, that you finally had the language to describe
Yeah, exactly.
your identity.
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
true.
tell me about that moment?
It's a very painful book because
Yeah.
that person went back and forth and, went through a lot of pain herself, right? But for me, I was on a beach at the time. And I remember I was reading this book, and all of a sudden I sat bolt upright and went, oh, she's describing me. Even when I was a child, little girls like to play with dolls usually, right? I mean, and there's always some differences, right?
Sure.
It's not one thing, one size fits all, or one thing fits all. But, I used to stand at the back. My parents, I had this headboard that was it was soft.
It was padded.
It was padded.
Yeah.
I used to throw knives at it to see if I could make them stick. I didn't do not one thing that had to do with being a female in that time, right?
Yeah.
And but then then all of a sudden I was expected to start wearing frilly clothes and stuff, right?
But I think it's a testament to your mom that she let you throw knives at the headboard.
Oh yeah, she
And
did.
didn't say, what's this? And you're wrecking the headboard.
Yeah.
I mean,
She was hoping I would get over it.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
But she one day, many years later, she just said to me, "Oh, my dear, please forgive me." Right? She just all of a sudden it just gelled.
What was that like for you when she asked for your forgiveness?
Oh, I realized that she now knew who I was, and it was okay. It was just fine. She had no problem with it. Imagine having your mom say, "Oh, my darling, please forgive me."
It's such a journey to get here, and you came out in 2002. This is 24 years ago. I don't have to tell you that things are very scary right now. We're seeing trans rights being threatened and clawed back.
Yeah.
I'll start with you, Glenn. How do you stay hopeful, and how do you encourage others to stay hopeful right now?
Well, you can only be who you are, but you don't need to put yourself in the way of harm, right? So if the way you are right now is in the way of harm, which would be, our folks to the south of us, don't risk your life for that, right? You will still be who you are, and things go forward and things tend to go backwards. We make if you look at our culture recently, and meaning the last couple, 400 years or something, I don't know exactly, but we kind of move forward and then we move back, and then all of a sudden we're burning women, and then we're no, that's a horrible thing. How could we do that? And then and back and forth and back and forth. Well, we're still in those times, right? And right now we're going, from my perspective, backwards, and I think that people need to protect themselves. Don't be out there waiting for somebody to come by and shoot you because you're whatever, And I mean, it's sad, but if you want to survive in a culture that will shoot you, don't do it. Now,
I'm
you may
going
have a
to
different.
play devil's advocate
Yeah,
a little bit when I think of your life.
Yeah.
What I remember, because we were friends then, when you came out in 2002, the quality of the journalism, some of it was absolutely rabid. There is one interview, I forget which of Toronto's major papers it was from, but the person was just, Beverly Glenn-Copeland is doing this for attention, and it's kind of like saying a woman says she's raped for attention. There's better ways to get attention than that. And it was at a time when a lot of Glenn's peers were actively, and I'm not saying all, but some were like, especially queer folk, were staying away from him because they didn't want to associate with somebody. Because for Glenn, he could just never, if only he'd just put on a swash of lipstick and a skirt, back in the 90s, his career would have been very different, but he's never been able to be anyone other than who he is. So I remember the pain, and I remember how you persevered through that pain of how you're making this very vulnerable public announcement was treated by many people. But I'm jumping ahead to now. I do remember a few months ago, we're always being offered these incredible engagements left, right, and center in the United States, like Lincoln Center. Who doesn't want to go play Lincoln Center? But Glenn said, and this is your wisdom, you said, I have taken many risks in my life because taking risks is part of being a spiritual person, right? It's part of who you were. It is your legacy because you couldn't be anything other than you were. But you said, at this point, I'm a trans black man with a cognitive impairment. The first two things don't mean I couldn't necessarily go to the United States, but the third does, because I no longer have the instinctual awareness of, I feel like I can go to that interview, I can walk down that street, I can take this risk, but not those, because my discerning sense knows. And you said, I no longer have that discernment. So, we do see how things have advanced, and now there's this incredibly frightening clawback. You have laid such path for people, honey. Just be yourself. Whatever you need to do to be yourself.
I agree with you, but I do take exceptions to one thing. Right now, people who are not heteronormative are shot.
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting that people stand out and wave a flag.
Oh, I see, okay.
I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a different thing.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you still have to be yourself.
And find communities with whom you can
be yourself,
yourself, because we are strong with each other. We have this great power with each other. Glenn and I are big advocates for remembering how much power we have as human beings. There's way more of us than there are of them. Let's remember that. But our power is with each other in community.
That goes right back to how we survived as humans in the first place.
For the first 200,000 years.
We don't have any long nails. We can't run fast, and we have no teeth.
Well, we do have teeth. But
but none that can
sharp
chomp,
ones.
not ones that can chomp on your neck and that's the end of you, right? No. So that's how we survived, right?
But I think, I love the 4 young people that came to our house last night are all young trans people, and it just allows us to see humanity on the spectrum of beauty that we are.
I agree with that.
Not these little divisions of this is what a human man looks like. It's like we are on a spectrum, just like we're on a spectrum of ability. We're all on spectrums of when we did a lot of work with kids on the spectrum, and each of them was very, very different.
Yeah.
So to bring that idea back of spectrum and human beauty, and how do I want to express as a human?
Because people are all different, it means there's somebody there that somebody else can relate to. And that's very important. Maybe, maybe you have 4 kids. One relates to mommy. One relates to daddy. One relates to aunt somebody down the street. And one relates to somebody that has no connection with your DNA and RNA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but that person is the person that you need to be able to go to, right? That's what a community is.
That's right.
And that loves you and knows you.
I want to go to a celebratory moment
Yes.
and play you. And just a couple years ago, Glenn, you re-recorded a new version of your song "Ever New" with Sam Smith, and it was featured on this album.
The Transa album, yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a listen to it, and then we'll talk about it.
Welcome the child whose hand I hold. Welcome to you, both young and old. We are ever new. We are ever new. Welcome the spring, the summer rain. Softly turn to sing again. Welcome the bird.
That's a little bit of Ever New from the 2024 album Transa, which was in celebration and support of the trans community. That song featuring Sam Smith. Oh my goodness. This is one of the songs I think people think of when they think of you, Glenn. What does this song mean to you?
We are ever new, Every day we wake up, we're a new person, really, right? Because some things have died and some things have waked up and whatever, right? But the most important thing around that particular song is Sam. And I had never met them, right? Never met them. And Sam came in and opened their mouth and began to make the most amazing thing in this song I'd ever heard. And I just went, okay, that's it. I'm adopting you. That's it. I just was blown away. And I love them. I love them.
Yeah. I bet they love you. I can't imagine actually what it was like for them to meet you and to sing together.
Well,
It was a lot of tears.
from both our accounts. Yeah.
I bet.
But when you were in the studio doing the first pass on Ever New, Sam was sitting in the corner. Well, actually, everybody, we were all in the studio just weeping.
Yeah.
And then we said, did you want to go in with Glenn? And it was just beautiful.
Yeah. Totally unexpected.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was the last minute. And
This is a time of rediscovery of Glenn's music when this happened. I mentioned Keyboard Fantasies, and Elizabeth, there was so much attention on Glenn at that time when that album was quote unquote rediscovered by a music collector in Japan about a decade ago. What did you make of all of that at that time?
When Glenn and I first got together, we were poor as church mice. And a year or so into our relationship, Glenn came and sat down. He took my hand. He said, honey, I know how this is going to go down. I'm going to die. And then they're going to discover my music. And you'll be set for life. And I said, well, thanks, but no, that's not what we want. I want you to be able to reap the fruits of your labor. I want you to be able to feel what your music has meant. So we began sort of a bit of a prayer campaign, and you never know with prayer when things are going to take effect, but we did. I remember at the time I started calling up various producers and influencers in the music business and going like, because nobody was playing Glenn on the radio. There was a few audio files that were paying like $2,500 an album, but nobody was interested because it didn't fit into a genre. And I said, have you listened to this music? Have you listened to La Vida? Have you listened? And no. And then once he was discovered, those same people were rushing to get to the table. It's like, you don't remember our conversation 5 years ago, do you? So it was an answer to our prayer, but it totally changed our lives in ways that were wonderful and difficult.
How are you holding those two truths at the same time, Glenn, that there is loss, but there's also so much to live for?
I think many, many, many people feel the same way. I don't think it's so unusual, right? Because as you get older, you know, ideally, wisdom increases with age, but mobility decreases, right? So
It's cruel,
you know, it's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's part of being a human, right? It's part of even being, you know, an old lion or whatever. It's you know.
Sure.
So,
But it's also that we have a practice.
well, we
And
do.
that is something that when we stand on a stage, when people go, how do you hold your hope? It's like you need we all need some kind of practice. Whether you chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo or you dance in a circle every morning or something that brings you back. Because if you don't have that, then your reptilian brain does take over and then you're just scared all the time.
Yeah, you need to have something that will encourage you
Yeah.
to be brave.
So we have a twice a day practice that
Yeah,
in the morning and in the evening,
Yeah.
most days.
yeah.
And we have other people that we chant with. And that's part of why we're looking forward to coming back to Toronto, because we have a lot of Buddhist community here. And
Yeah, totally.
so hopefully, touch wood, by the summer, we'll be back here.
Looking
That
forward to that.
sounds great. Hope we get to
Yes.
see you again.
We would love that,
Yeah.
Talia.
Yes, really.
It is such an, I can't even, I don't have the words as Elizabeth is so articulate and Glenn, you're so articulate. I don't have the words to tell you how honored I am to speak to you both today, but I hope you can feel it. And I truly
Yes.
appreciate your time and your artistry and your humanity as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're quite a sensitive being. I can see that.